and welcome to A Dog's Life. Before we go any further, I just want to thank everyone for listening and for rating and for reviewing the podcast over the years. Well, today's episode, I couldn't be more excited to introduce Gemma Glover from the Pet Carpenter, who's joining us today to talk about bespoke furniture, not just for dogs, but for all pets. Gemma Glover, thank you so much for joining me on A Dog's Life.
Oh, Anna, it's such a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting us on. Really excited.
Oh gosh, no, I mean, it's always lovely. I know you've listened to a few episodes, including my favorite episode. Well, they're all favorites, actually. Quickly backtrack. But my first episode with Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, which does reference Dartmoor. So it is relevant because your company, the Pet Carpenter, is based, I think, quite near Dartmoor.
Yes, yeah. So we're just on the outskirts of Plymouth, edge of Dartmoor. So literally right between the two, which is lovely. And me and my brother both grew up on the outskirts of Dartmoor, so I've spent a lot of time enjoying the area. And it was I can understand how you can get lost in the place. So listening to your episode with Rupert, it's very understandable.
I know, and it really there is no light, so because I mean, obviously, in the metropolis, there's always light pollution to illuminate the sky, basically, which isn't a good thing necessarily. But I loved it. I loved going down there because of all the ponies, that are just hanging out.
Yeah, it is an amazing place to adventure and explore, and the Dartmoor ponies are particularly delightful. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so good that they, are looked after and that they're still there. But we digress because obviously this is A Dog's Life and we're talking about dogs. And it's very interesting, the Pet Carpenter, what you're doing in terms of creating integrated furniture designs to make living with dogs perhaps a little bit more aesthetic, certainly more practical, and it's all backed by science.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been an interesting journey into the pet carpenter with my brother's carpentry background, but certainly the crate space and having that safe space in the home for a dog is something that we kind of really value and really like to try and educate. Our community on the whole is educated, but educate beyond that as to why that space is so good for a dog's well-being.
Yes, and you've come a long way in a very short time, which I think is also very bold. And it also proves, the demand for your products, which are amazingly crafted, but also, of course, the need for crates. You see, I'm a great fan of crates. And I know that there was a study that you highlighted to me, actually, called Generation Pup. Explain a little bit more about why that study that was done with Dogs Trust really backs up the rationale to have a crate.
Well, it really, I found it via Edition Dog published the press release of it, and that just got me delving a little bit further. But it's a study called Generation Pup, and it's a longitudinal study. So they've done a study for a number of years, inviting puppy parents. And they're documenting their lifestyle and behavior at different stages throughout their life. So, but ensuring that everyone that joins from a puppy stage. So they have to have joined, I think it's before they're sort of 12 weeks old. And they're looking at their lifestyle and different things that happen in the home, and then looking at how that might create separation related behaviors, basically. So separation anxiety and those kind of things. And there's a raft of different behaviors that they kind of identify within that study. And the really interesting thing for us, because, whilst I value the crate and believe in the crate. I'm not a professional trainer or behaviorist, but I come from it from experience with my dog and our family's dogs as to why it's such a good space. But this study was really fascinating because it has found that dogs that pre 16 weeks of age that are restricted to crates or rooms overnight are much less likely to create separated separation like related behaviors, and that is just then backed up again by the fact that they're sort of indicating that a dog that or a puppy that's getting more than 9 hours sleep a night, which can be aided by the crate space. Again, they're seeing less separation related behaviors in those dogs too. And that study for me, and seeing it from such a kind of credible, resource from the Dogs Trust and supported by the Royal Veterinary College, really kind of backs what we do. And it's so great to see that that kind of information is now kind of being put out there to support what we do.
Yes, well, I mean, crumbs, separation anxiety is going through the roof. For me as well, one of the issues is open plan living. And in a way, because of your integrated designs, might that really help? Because obviously, if you're open plan, you can't put your dog in another room because there isn't one. And oftentimes, the crate kind of is in the middle of the open plan, and it is a lot harder actually to train a dog in an open plan environment than one that has rooms like an old school house.
Absolutely, and I think that's the beauty of what we do. There are alternatives to what we do on the market, but because we are bespoke, we can very much work within the space or the open plan space or however your home is set up. One example, we've worked with a lovely lady called Grania, and she's a veterinary surgeon, and she created an actual kitchen island, because their open plan kind of downstairs living kitchen island, beautiful wine rack, and then a really lovely size space for her Labrador beau. So that's just one example of how you can really bring that space into the home, and for it, not to be necessarily a metal crate in the middle of your room, but actually integrate it as part of your furniture for practicality too.
Yes, and I urge everyone to go on your Instagram at the Pet Carpenter because, I can't believe it. It's so clever what you do because it is true. Crates are a bit of an eyesore. So the idea of, making them invisible is a super idea, but also, of course, it maximizes space, and everybody is, about maximizing space.
Absolutely. And I think one of the like really nice things we're sort of seeing transition, whilst we love to be the inspiration, what we often find is that a client will come to us with a new idea or something we haven't done before. And we're like, yes, we can put that into practice. And last year, I think, yeah, throughout 2024, I think we did our first sort of more vertical innovation piece, I call it. So like a dresser style. And I think our first one had a double dog bedroom underneath. So it was really kind of trying to maximize the space above the crate space, the bedroom, as well. And that definitely saw that then inspire more and more people to look at that kind of vertical innovation in that for their home too.
I really like that vertical innovation. I mean, I've got a dresser just to the right of me at the minute and all vintage because I'm mad about upcycling.
Yeah.
And it would, as it stands, actually, but if I did some measurements and everything, some integrated pieces could perhaps fit in there. But it is a really good idea with the vertical space. So I love that. And I love the kitchen island idea. That's perfect, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then in a way, yeah, it is just about training dogs to like crates. And obviously that's something I've done a lot with my own dogs and many other dogs, and providing people understand, that it isn't cruel to put your dogs in an indoor kennel, as I call them. Then this study really did interest me, as did some of the demographics listed in that study with Dogs Trust and the RVC, which did highlight that the younger demographic of dog owners does seem to actually have more anxious dogs than the slightly older demographic, which is just interesting, I think.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting. And I think if you want to delve into that study, it is an interesting read. And I wonder, there's part of me, I think we saw such an uptake, and it's one of the things that's might have helped us, but we saw such a huge uplift of dogs during the pandemic because people were at home and it's felt like the most ideal thing to do is bring a puppy into your home, not necessarily thinking what might happen after the fact. And I think that again is a possible contributor to these dogs that have been around their humans for an extended period of time and not perhaps having that separation, then unfortunately sort of developing these behaviors that, are not so favorable to us as humans, but actually it's our, it's our responsibility to help our dogs learn that they can feel comfortable and content when they're away from us, or in a crate space.
Yes, absolutely. And, I mean, dogs need to think, they need time alone like we do to think, oh, yeah, I did a great training. It's about, of course, maximizing your dog so that they do have their exercise time, so that then when they go into their crate, they can relax because they've had their kind of workout. But also for them to think, yes, today in my training session, I did learn sit, and they reflect. There is science to prove they have episodic memory. So they can reflect and absorb and internalize emotions, memories, learning that they've done, and then refresh when they come out, rather than being on the go the whole time, which again is the sleep deprivation aspect, because that makes for, I often say, those toddlers that are in the supermarket that, you know, nobody really perhaps likes. I don't know, I shouldn't really, toddlers are great, but when they get tired, and puppies can get tired, and that's when a lot of behaviors can get a bit out of control, and the wrong behaviors are then rewarded by pet parents that aren't au fait with coping with a puppy that suddenly turns, a bit into a tantrum because they're not getting their own way, and then accidentally rewarding behaviors like maybe chewing on their trouser leg or barking at them or whatever it might be, making the whole situation worse. But it's a complicated conversation, but certainly adding a crate into your routine, I believe, gives you backup, but also it trains dogs for life skills. I mean, in the event, Gemma, that your dog has to spend a night at the vet's, which can always happen. You never know what's in front of you. And then they're going to be in a crate. So,
Absolutely.
mm, mm, mm.
I think that's the nuance to the crate. I think we a curse and a wonderful thing for us is we go viral quite often, and we go viral quite often on our social media because of people not liking the crate space. And then where I used to be nervous about that conversation in the past and in previous years, it's now a point at which we can educate. And I think there's so many points throughout a dog's life where that kind of confinement might be needed, and whether that is, I think in a way, as a parent of a dog, you've almost got to expect that there'll be a need for a visit to a vet at some point, or perhaps rest, create rest, or confinement sort of after injury recovery. Even things like visits to the groomers or travel in your car.
Oh gosh, your whole workshop sounds kind of like, that program it's on the BBC where people bring things that were broken and then they fix them again, the repair shop.
Oh
I kind
yes,
of
yeah.
imagine your workshop to be a bit like that. With lots of different divisions, from your CAD drawings to when the furniture's actually finished off and painted, because all the colors that you've got, you can choose everything, can't you?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, we've got I don't like to use the word standard, but we've got a base level of quality that we work to. So in terms of selection of materials and things like that, there is an absolute kind of minimum level that we will work to. And then ultimately clients can choose to upgrade, whether that's materials or whether that's choice in paint colors or ironmongery, and even door styles, for example. We've got different door styles that we offer. So like I said, there's a minimum level of quality that we've kind of set for ourselves, and for our clients, to ensure that we're delivering a really high quality piece of furniture that will stand the test of time, and obviously last in terms of dog use as well, and pet use, a very important part of what we do. And the workshop's just a really exciting space because, yeah, you're right. We start with design, which is very kind of, it's very fluid with our clients, and and we have as much backwards and forwards as they wished. So that process can take some time, but it's very kind of open-ended. And then once a design is confirmed, it will kind of enter into our workshop, and it will go through a series of stages from the kind of obviously ordering of the materials. There's a kind of machining element, so making sure we've got everything cut to size, build, and then preparation for finishing. And interestingly, the finishing part of the process is a really kind of that almost takes the longest, that kind of going through paint and the paint shop, back out the paint shop. It goes in quite a few times into the paint shop, a significant amount of time drying to make sure the paint's cured, and then it will come out the other end. We quality check, we make sure everything's working as it should be, and it will quite often go through our photography and videography area, where Harry more often in front of the camera, me behind the camera, we'll kind of document those pieces for our clients and for us, and to kind of inspire other people.
No, it's brilliant. You obviously, people might be thinking, gosh, making things out of wood in an age where trees are kind of this valuable resource to hopefully modify quite a lot of dramatic climate change that we've been having of late. How do you balance that?
Well, so in terms of materials, like all of our materials are sustainably sourced. So FSC, furniture grade pine, and timbers are used. We use moisture resistant hardboard which is a really strong, durable material for strength to weight ratio. So that's our kind of absolute minimum standard. That's very durable. It's recyclable. So it's quite a sustainable kind of material to use for sort of the actual kind of box that the bedroom the dog would be in. And then we use things like solid oak and bits and pieces that finish the piece off. And obviously, like I say, clients can choose to upgrade. So whether if they want a full piece in solid oak, that's something that we can do. But it is all sustainably sourced, which is again something that, and wherever possible, locally sourced as well.
You've been through a lot because, we mentioned you're 4 years old and, really, I think, fulfilling a need in the market. But it's not been a smooth path in that there was a tragedy.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so I mean it's been an interesting journey in itself, and it was off the back of, my brother losing his carpentry business at the beginning of lockdown, just purely because obviously he wasn't able to visit people's homes. And the idea came about from a friend just saying, "Oh, could your brother build me a sideboard that I can put my pets in?" Which initially, and whilst we've all got dogs and we're pet loving, we thought, "Oh, that's a bit strange, but we'll give it a go." And Harry in his dining room with his 3-month-old newborn and his wife at home built that first piece for our friend, and popped it on his Facebook group and just Facebook business page for his carpentry. And I think we sold 17 in Plymouth alone. And he was like, actually, if there's that many people that want it in Plymouth, then it could go somewhere, this. And so I came in and sort of helped a bit with the branding, and that was sort of 2020, and moved into a workshop. And the first year was just, oh, it was a roller coaster. It was exciting. You're getting more people finding interest. We were growing on social media. And October 2021, so we'd been in our workshop for just over a year, and we had a massive fire and we lost everything. And I remember the call that morning, Harry phoning up and just saying, "There's 8 fire engines on site. We can't get onto site. We don't know what's happening." And it was just, yeah, I remember driving up being like, what are we going to turn up to? And it was gone. Yeah, it was devastating.
Well, I mean, it's so in a way timely to talk about something like that. With the fires obviously still going on in LA as we speak, but so scary, isn't it? That just like that, something so devastating can happen. However, you fought back, and I love that determination and resilience, because kind of reminds me of my dog, really, because that's something else we've got in common, in that I think it's your parents do have a bull terrier.
Yes, yeah, they've got a bull terrier cross that they rescued, and they've become more resilient in having him. He they rescued him at 10 months, and he's amazing. He's hard work, and he's teaching us at the same time, I think, through his hard work. And interestingly, he's one of these dogs that he adores his crate, like it is his bedroom, and he absolutely loves it.
No, absolutely. Well, Prudence is the same. I mean, being a difficult dog, because they all are, you don't get a bull terrier thinking you're going to have an easy life. I mean, that doesn't factor in. There's just different variants of the bull terrier. Some are so lazy, like my first one, Molly. She would have been really happy just sitting on the sofa watching daytime telly all day. You know, that
Oh,
was that was her thing, right? Getting her to go for a walk, it was like a nightmare. She was so lazy. Whereas Prudence is, you know, the other end of the scale. You know, she would love to be on stage with Kylie Minogue and
yeah.
would, you know, I mean, she would upstage her. I mean, that's the thing. She'd be right at the front, and everyone would be going, "Oh my God, can I touch you?" I mean, and she'd be going, "Yes, if you can catch me." Oh, I'm being a bit random here. Apologies, but you get the idea. So anyway, the thing is, after and I went to an awards dinner one night with Joe, who I do the radio with. Joe said to me, it was going on a bit, and she said, Dana, how long have you left Prudence now? And I went, yeah, looked at my watch, yeah, a bit too long, actually, Joe. I've got to make a move because we were doing, you know, let's see how long I can leave you not in the crate, you know,
Yeah.
training just to get sort of some parameters when she was young. Anyway, got home and it was a disaster. She had eaten all the knobs off my chest of drawers, which could have been really dangerous because it was wooden. So she'd
Yeah.
gnawed them all off, which is a sign, of course, of separation anxiety in itself and just devilishness. A number of different factors, I think, goes into their psychology. However, you know, that has meant really for her safety, my safety, it is best to be here on the side of caution. And if I'm, you know, maybe getting delayed, maybe the 4 hour window accident, you know, without, you know, me knowing does get transferred to a 5 hour window of leaving her on her own, it's best to know that no damage is going to happen really to herself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she loves it as well. Just, you know, one cue in your house is the queue, and she's straight in. Absolutely
Yeah.
loves it.
Nice.
She's got everything in there. So you must provide water bowl holders and the like for your crates as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the innovations that we included pretty early on was there's the option of we've always done raised feeders, so you can have a separate, clients will include their own water bowls and things, but we can design a raised feeder to sit inside, which could hold your water, or we've even got the feeding drawer, which could have a food and water sort of for that's the kind of secure feeding within the bedroom crate space. Yeah.
See, it's perfect, you know, because that is so important, obviously, that they have access to water at all
Yes.
times, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
Yeah. And this year you've got loads lined up, as I understand it, to really move forwards more, not only into dogs, but, you know, into cats. And what about guinea pigs?
Yeah, so I mean, we I think quite purposefully, whilst we knew it was going to be dogs in the first instance, branded ourselves as the Pet Carpenter, and we have been fortunate enough to design for some different pets. And first, in the first instance, it's been rabbits. So certainly guinea pigs is definitely something we can do, and we've done a couple of rabbit pieces, and I do think that's an interesting market that we could explore a bit further. But you stick in your lane for a period of time, and then I think we will explore that one further. And then last year we were really fortunate enough to be invited along to the cat show live. So we met loads of cat parents, which was amazing, and designed a few pieces off the back of that. And it's interesting because actually cats indoor in like cats that are just house cats actually almost require a lot more in the home to for enrichment, and even things like we did a piece recently which had their litter tray enclosed that they could access, but it was enclosed within a cupboard space. So you've not got that kind of on display. And just, there's quite practical kind of ways of sort of bringing your pet into your home, but for it to be, really sensitively designed around your own home interiors.
You see, that's really, really clever, actually. I love that idea because I've got a cat, and luckily, compared to my last cat, he does do all his toilet in the litter tray. But well, I'm quite limited on space, but so I put the litter tray in the bath, actually. So
Yeah.
it's quite hygienic, obviously, and it's well out of the way of the dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do have a tendency to quite, don't let's not go there. But yeah, no, that's so so interesting. And I bet there's even more scope actually in terms of cats for products higher up.
There's huge scope, and I think we had some really fun conversations actually at the cat show live. And it's, you know, a lot of people have cats and dogs, and we have done a piece before, for example, where, you know, dogs and I know my dog will go and eat the cat's food if it's not out of the way. And so they wanted a secure space where their cat could only access the food, and then the dog had a separate bedroom. And so that kind of came into a really nice kind of combined piece that allowed for cat and dog to sort of live kind of together, but you know, for each of their needs to be catered to. So dog isn't eating the cat's food. But then the vertical kind of thing, we were chatting with someone about, you know, you could have the dog bedrooms at the bottom, but vertically innovate above to create the cat's kind of enrichment area. So there's some really kind of cool ideas, and it's just yeah, we're really excited to work on things like that because it just brings it to life more for bringing our pets into the home.
Yes, but it's not only the home, is it? I mean, look, so many offices now are dog friendly. You've got all the big tech firms literally encourage you to bring your dog into work. I mean, it's so different from about 20 years ago. It's great, really. And I think you've done the interior for Pet Plans, main HQ.
Yeah, so that was a really exciting project, and it was, you know, it was via their contractor that was doing their office kind of refurb, but they found us, and I guess that's just from searching and going, who does pet furniture? But they found us, and they wanted to be able to, you know, have, and they've got an open plan office, but they wanted to be able to create spaces for their, you know, their employees to bring their dogs in that would be the pieces don't look totally like what we would put necessarily in the home, but they're really lovely kind of little kind of enclosed bedrooms that allow for the dog to be secured. So there's like leashing point there. And then we also created little kind of bespoke signs that they could turn around. And one said, I'm happy to be petted. And the other one said, like, I'm having a rest, kind of leave me alone. So it's just, you know, and that's allowing to communicate to someone else that's in the office whether your dog's happy to be petted or whether they are to be sort of left in their space and, you know, not disturbed. So yeah, that was a really, really lovely project. And I think we did 6 pieces for them. So they're in their sort of pet center of excellence. And yeah, we've seen some lovely photos of them being in use in the office.
Oh, that's so great. I mean, just before Christmas, interestingly, I did a little spokesperson piece for an office space firm called Work.Life, actually, and they pride themselves on, renting out office spaces to small companies, freelancers, what have you, and they are really dog friendly, and they,
Yeah.
again, yeah, really encourage dogs, because dogs, help the whole workplace in so many different ways. They lower our blood pressure, they make us smile. When you're in a happy mood, you're going to work harder, I suppose. No, and they're just great conversation points. And it's known they aid productivity and interaction in a workplace. So it was really interesting. This really, I think, dogs in the office, it's brilliant, because of course part of the problem with all the pandemic dogs is people went back to work. And I just feel if you can take your dog with you everywhere, you've nailed it, really.
Yeah.
I'm always worried about leaving my dog with anyone else, because anything can happen, and that's always a worry for me, but I am a warrior.
No, absolutely. And I think when I think it well, it's good for people's well-being having pets around, isn't it? I think that's a, another real benefit of having dogs in the workplace or pets in the workplace. It's just, yeah, it helps people as well. Like so
Mm. Oh no,
yeah.
I absolutely helps people who perhaps don't like dogs actually learn to like dogs, and you take regular breaks with a dog, and I just think, they'll say they are fun, and dogs do make us smile, and they do lower our cortisol levels. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. And it means, you can have a dog and work at the same time. But
Yeah.
no, Gemma, it's brilliant. I mean, what else then? It's obviously, in a way, it's like the world is there for you to
Yeah,
kind of really.
there's some really exciting things, and I think that's the thing, that the application of what we do can go really far. I know we've got I don't know whether you know Rachel Spencer, but she runs a great membership called Pets Get Visible, and she supported us a lot. But she actually has a holiday home, so a dog-friendly holiday home, and that's something that's been in our minds for ages. Is actually like this could really kind of apply itself in a holiday home. And I know from Rachel's perspective, she quite often gets asked, is there a crate in the home that we can use so that we don't have to take it with us? So that kind of application too, like if you have a doggy friendly holiday home, having a space where a dog can go when they're there is perfect kind of thing.
It's
um
really perfect, but it's given me an idea to approach, dog-friendly hotels,
yeah,
because that's also absolutely massive. Certainly in London, I did a lot of work actually with the Pan Pacific. It was great fun. We stayed there and everything, but I had to take Prue's crate with me. That's always just a complete drag.
yeah,
So to have great options integrated into the dog friendly rooms, now there is, I think, a thought. And
yes, yeah.
and I do know Rachel, by the way. In fact, I'm invited to that holiday home. I just haven't got around to doing it because
Oh,
it's quite far away in Yorkshire, isn't it?
it
On the
is.
coast.
It is. It looks beautiful, and yeah, like it's really far for us as well. But fingers crossed one day, one day.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, I think staycationing as well has grown massively. I mean, I think partly because of the cost of living crisis, but also because we've, obviously left the EU now. Traveling with your dog now is a lot more hassle. Back in the day, you'd just
Yeah,
get a passport. Like we have a passport that lasts for as long as the dog's rabies injection, is valid. And then, you renew it with, but now every single time you travel, you have to get the application done. And that's costly and again very tricky with the paperwork, and lots of people do get caught out. So I think people are being put off taking their dogs abroad with a view to just exploring the good old United Kingdom, because we've got some nice spots.
oh, we've got some beautiful spots in the UK, and I think that yeah, I mean, I was in the Isle of Mull, so travelled up to Scotland a couple of years ago, and there's you can feel like you're in a different world if you get sunshine and you're on some of their beaches, you can feel like you're abroad. Even
Definitely.
even down here in Cornwall and Devon.
Oh no,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
Gosh, of course. No, exactly. And I think it's good. So I think you're right. Those are really good ideas. So if anyone's listening that has cottages or, an office space that they might want to just kind of fine tune to make it uber dog friendly, then that's a good idea, I think.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you. But yeah, so other things that are going on this year, we have. I mean, we've been very fortunate to grow our presence very much digitally, but we are hoping to get out to some events this year, which is really exciting, so we can meet people in person. The first one that we're hoping to be at is Edition Dog Live. So really, fingers crossed, it's all going to go to plan and we'll be there. So and just keep an eye on our socials and things because we definitely will be announcing when we're being at events, and that's just an opportunity to come and see, touch, feel our product. And then if you are down in Devon, ever visiting, you're more than welcome to book in to pop in and see us at the workshop as well. So that's something we're facilitating from this year as well, which
Really
just
good.
allows people to get touch and feel and see products in the flesh, as it
And
were.
be totally open. And I always say, people sell people. So meeting the people behind the products or behind, whatever is so important because, you are handcrafting this. This is a piece that isn't a throwaway item. Let's face it, it's an investment piece. I'm an
Yeah,
investment into your dog's well-being, your well-being, and you want it to be the best. So I think that's a really brilliant idea. Well, Edition Dog Live, brilliant. I think it's great. They've moved the date forward. So everyone listening, it's now on the 6th of July
yeah,
instead of the August bank holiday. And I'm hosting the main arena again. So I'm looking forward to that. So we'll
I
definitely
think
meet up there, if not
yeah,
before.
yeah, that would be lovely. And fingers crossed before Anna, but if not, definitely there.
Yes, no, absolutely. Fingers crossed before. I do hope so. I do hope so. Well, look, Gemma, thank you again for this lovely chat. And I really am inspired by your company because for me, it really represents how dog ownership is really thinking out of the box, and it's really offering pets to be inclusive as the family members that they do deserve to be and are. And it's just helping owners get the best out of their pet. But I do want to see some guinea pigs in one of your, in the guinea pig hutch. That's what cause I'm mad, but I've got a passion for a guinea pig at the moment. I had a guinea pig as a child, and I just love them because they look like little bull terriers.
No, guinea
So
pigs are gorgeous, and I actually had rabbits and guinea pigs as a child and love guinea pigs. So I'll have to maybe hit up Rick from Hay Pigs and who runs the magazine and have a bit of a chat with him about what a guinea pig might need in a piece of furniture.
well, interestingly, maybe I can help because for my guinea pig, who's called Squeak, my dad, he was very into creating things, Dad. He built Squeak a hutch out of an old chest of
Nice.
drawers.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, no, I know it was brilliant. So so he had 3 rooms, and so you just put him in one of the other rooms, and then you just pull the drawer out to tip it and clean it and put fresh bedding down. So it was super ergonomic.
It's
And
brilliant.
yeah. So and it was on 3 levels. It was really good. Yeah, he had lots of fun in there. So,
Oh,
oh, I
lovely.
know. I think that's a really great idea, for a small furry. But I actually, when we spoke, actually prior to this, you have designed for a tortoise.
Yeah, so well, I mean, we get inquiries from all sorts of pets, and I think that's the beauty of what we do. So, we've done like vivarium style, so dog bedroom underneath and a vivarium on top, which could have a tortoise or a lizard in it, for example. So that is, and this is the thing. It's almost we say you dream it, you dream it, we create it, and that is very much what we run by. If you've got an idea or something in your head of how something might look in your home and how that can be functional for you, but importantly provide your pet the safe space that it needs, then that's what we can help you bring to life. So that, yes, be inspired.
Be inspired, Gemma. So exciting, and it's such a positive message for a podcast that's out in January. So here's to a really great 2025, Gemma.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Anna. Really appreciate it.
Well, that's our show, and I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, go on, rate and review the show wherever you tune in to your podcasts. Thanks again, of course, to Gemma Glover from the Pet Carpenter, and all the links to find out more about the Pet Carpenter are below. Thanks, of course, to Mike Hansen, my producer, for all the music and production as ever, and find out more about him at Pod People UK. And to find out more about me, and of course my fur family and inspiration, that is Prudence, my miniature bull terrier, and Mr. Binks, my English toy terrier, and Baggy, my stray feral tomcat, check out my Instagram at AnnaWebDogs. And we'll be back in your feed next Sunday. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go on, subscribe. It's free, and that way you'll never miss another show. Bye for now.